Hi everybody, welcome to Shivers. You've heard me go on and on now about these murder mystery parties. So today I want to walk through all of the stories that we already have, how they actually work, and really what the breakdown is of them. So up to this point, we now have 12 stories, all written by yours truly. Really the idea behind offering murder mysteries as an event, I've always loved that idea. I've always loved puzzle solving, but I'm not really a big fan of forced participation. Anytime that it's, go around the room and say your favorite color, like, I'm not a fan of that. My whole background's in HR and teamwork and leadership. And so all of those skills have definitely come to the table for writing these murder mysteries, but with that mindset of, I never want to force somebody to share, to participate, anything like that. So when you think of these murder mysteries by Shivers, think more Dungeons and Dragons minus the strategy. This is much more a follow the story. This is much more of a situation of making sure that you're staying on track of what is being said, what evidence is being revealed, who is in what room at what time. It's Clue, but with a little bit more storyline. So the very first story that I ever did was Death at the Award Show. It's meant to be Murder at the Grammys, but Grammys is copywritten, so can't use that. This story in particular has a max play amount of 12 people. Each story has a different max amount of people, which is just based on the amount of characters that are in that story. But Death at the Award Show, being the first one, has a max of 10 to 12 people. So this is really focused on time jumping and location jumping. So we're following a singular person, this musician, as they get to the Grammys back in the day. And so we're jumping from their history in 1920 to current at the actual Grammys where there's a murder that's taken place. And you're sort of going back in time and forward in time to see who was in what location, who's following who, and what that motive might be. So after Death at the Award Show, we had Murder at the Haunted Mansion. This, to this day, is still probably the most popular murder mystery. This is all about stereotypical murder mystery. It's a Halloween, not even Halloween, but it's a dinner party at a haunted mansion. And up to 12 people are able to play this one. We have the actual building person who rented it out. The owner is not a part of this story. And all of these ghost stories and tales are told over dinner. So we have a ghost hunter, we have a medium, we have the event host in this situation. All of these stories I'm narrating, but in this one, I am that event host. So this is probably the only story that I'm actually a part of. And throughout the night, it's go wander the halls, see if you can capture the ghost of the haunted mansion and put together where people are going. Is it a H.H. Holmes situation where the hallways of this haunted mansion are moving? Is there an actual ghost? Is there something else entirely going on? So also the idea of who's been invited to this dinner party and why. So like I said, that's probably the most popular one. That one I've done at least 8 or 9 times at this point. So it's smooth. I'm going to toot my own horn. So after we have Murder at the Haunted Mansion, then we have Murder at the Cabin. Obviously, they're not very creative names, but Murder at the Cabin, now we have a max of 14 people. This one is doing what Death at the Award Show already did, but more location. So we're at this cabin, but we have the woods, we have a farm, and we're going between different versions of land to figure out who's in what location and what's actually going on throughout the entire land. Is the land cursed? Is the cabin cursed? Is it haunted? Is this just a situation of old wives' tales or neighborhood stories? So this one is much more imaginative and definitely does not follow the stereotypical murder mystery format, but Murder at the Cabin is one for true puzzle lovers. If you love puzzles, you will absolutely love Murder at the Cabin. After that, we have metaphysical murder mystery. So my mom owns Solely Holistic in Raleigh, and she has a big conference room in her business that she's allowed us to do all of these murder mysteries out of. So this was sort of my way of saying thank you to her for letting us use the space. But It's also my way of getting a little bit more meta. So this is a story within a story. It's not stereotypical in a murder mystery sense, but rather, who is everybody at this metaphysical retreat? Why are we all invited? Are we in an actual location? Are we in somebody's dream? What's actually going on here? So this one has been rated as the hardest one to solve. It is, you do have a murderer, you do have a victim in all of these stories. You can have multiple murderers or multiple victims, but this metaphysical murder mystery is more, and then there were one style. So you have many people that are just dropping off and nobody really knows why, and their bodies are not being discovered. So it's really diving deep more into the storytelling of it than it is who was at what location at what time. So I transformed that metaphysical murder mystery into our Halloween murder mystery from this year. We did do another Halloween murder mystery 2 years ago where I let everybody tell me what they wanted their Halloween costume to be, and then we put it into a story, which made it a little bit convoluted, but this metaphysical murder mystery transformed into Halloween ended up being just paranormal. So leaning more into, we're at this actual facility, we are at a ghost hunting retreat. Are there ghosts here? Is the supernatural real? It's much more straightforward than the metaphysical murder mystery, and much more tailored to an actual Halloween party. So I have always been a big fan of themes and kind of going along with the season. That's why for 2026, every month is themed for that month. So, January, for example, is all about wintertime horror. So our murder mystery for this month is Murder at the Lodge. So think kind of the hunting party, and then there were none. This is going to be going back to more of that classic style, and everybody's just trapped in the cabin, trapped in the lodge. It's much more winter time. It's the elements, it's the blizzards. So we're adding a more human element to this one. So for February, I always do Bloody Valentine's. So this is a speed dating event at a location where everybody is just sort of trapped inside, not necessarily trapped, but they're inside one room. And this is following that more classic path with the background constantly changing. So it's, are these people actually at a speed dating event, or who's really in charge? Who's leading this night? Who has more information than other people? That's what Bloody Valentine's is all about. For springtime, we have the Midsummer Murders. This one is also, I would say, probably second hardest. Still with that more metaphysical background. This is much more folklore. This does pull a little bit from the Midsummer movie, but much more from Midsummer traditions. So Midsummer Murders is the idea that we're all at this midsummer retreat for the actual celebration of the holiday, and there's these sort of time loops. So we're finding old VHS tapes, playing them, seeing how is this recorded sort of already in the future. Certain people are predicted to die. Are they actually going to die? Who is in charge of this weird, trippy timeline? So that one does require somebody who loves puzzles as well. For summertime, we move from spring to summer into Death at the Barbecue. This is definitely the easiest one. This is one that I did for a couple of summertime pool parties as well, and this is kind of fun for all ages. The other ones are a little bit more for that escape room crowd, people who, again, love puzzles, love games, love Clue, love storytelling. Death at the Barbecue is just kind of your cute storyline. This is also influenced from real life. We used to have a block party all the time, and everybody in my family was involved in helping set it up and doing the event planning for it. So you can really see that suburban emphasis on a perfect event and what would be the price of something going wrong. So that's the inspiration behind Death at the Barbecue, and that one has 18 players. I haven't really answered all of that so far, but Midsummer Murders also has 18. Bloody Valentine's has 12. Metaphysical Murder Mystery is 14. Murder at the Cabin has 14. So after that, we have then Christmas time. This past year was the first one that I did for Krampus. So Krampus Murder Mystery. We're at the actual Krampusnacht festival in Austria and seeing, is it Santa versus Krampus? Is it good versus bad? Is it fate? Is it a dream? how are all of these people kind of getting knocked off in this tavern? So it's all very focused on the actual Krampus tradition, so still back to that folklore background, but this one is very linear as well. So there's a mix so far of more classic murder mysteries, ones that are a little bit easier, ones that are very challenging for puzzle lovers of all sorts, and a little bit of everything in between. So I want to explain that for the sake of, a lot of times people will ask me, like, why would I repeat and go to a different story if it's going to be the same thing? It's the same structure in terms of following the story and taking notes and making sure that you're paying attention, but all of them are their own standalone stories, and they all have different formulas. So it's not, once you get one down, then you're just going to be able to follow along and pick up where a certain clue is left off at that point, but they're different, as you can hear. So really the idea for 2026 is not only to have one per month based on the theme of the month, again, like starting with the Murder at the Lodge, but also now introducing chaptered murder mysteries. These all do work really well together. So the idea with the chaptered murder mysteries is now a little bit smaller, only 10 people can join, and every single month it's kind of like a murder mystery league. So you're following the story, you are playing individual games and puzzles, but you then are part of what's a larger story that doesn't get revealed until next December. So a whole year of trying to figure out what's the big overall picture, but also who's doing all of these individual murders. And if your character gets killed off, you then just become somebody new for the next month. Or you keep that character depending on what their sort of background is. So this is where we get into a little bit more of that D&D background of having qualities for these characters, having traits, having lore, having history, but there's not any of that changing of fate mentality. So eventually I would love to turn this into more of an actual D&D campaign, but we're not there yet. So regardless, I wanted to really take today to kind of explain the structure, explain the stories, show what we already have to offer, and also mention the new chapters. So these all do take place in person. I would love to be able to offer them online, but it is a little bit confusing and it does require everybody to kind of be participating. It's not really passive. So if this is something that you are interested in joining, the next one that we have is this Friday, which is the Lodge at Solely Holistic in Raleigh. The one after that is going to be on January 23rd, which is chapter 1 of all of these new chaptered murder mysteries called The Family. And this is going to take place at Crank Arm Brewing in downtown Raleigh from 6 to 8. These do take 2 hours. We have a built-in intermission for food, for drinks, for hanging out, for chit-chat, for pictures, whatever you want to do. And yeah, basically all I ask is that you come with an open mind, a puzzle-loving, riddle-solving mind, and get into it. Some people get really into their costumes and their characters, but you don't have to do that. It's however much you want to participate. Like I said in the beginning, I would never ask somebody to do something that I wouldn't do, and I'm not really one for dress up, surprisingly. So I would never force you to do that. But it does make it fun and helps you sort of embody that character. So if you are interested in signing up, just go to meetup.com/shivershaunted, or even just send me a message and say, hey, this story in particular sounds really up my alley. How can we make it happen? These can all be purchased as party packs and you can host them yourself. Or if you want me to come and host it and structure it, we can do that too. I did a custom New Year's Eve party, so it was back to the 90s, that had 30 people, which was a really great experience. So it can be custom to you if you just say, like, I love the structure and I want to kind of make my own. We can do that. So that's all for today, and I will promise I'll shut up about the murder mysteries. But like I said, if you're interested in joining and you want to learn more about them, go to meetup.com/shivershaunted or reach out. Thanks as always for your support. I did have a poetry book just dropped this week called Break Her Open. So go on Amazon and grab your copy, and hope you enjoy.